What's up, my foodie family? I hope you're all eating well. Thank you for coming back to the channel. Today we have another episode of turning negatives into positives. Here on this channel we like to have the hard conversations. I do believe that life can be good, and there are a lot of positives in life. But I also believe that there's a lot of negatives in life. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that people deal with that impede their positivity, that impede their growth, that impede them making on to the next step in life and to doing better. A lot of people go through things every day that make it harder for them to accomplish their goals and to be better people. And I know that, for example, because I've been through a lot of different things that have made it difficult for me to be a better person, to move on to the next step in life, and to be more positive and to make it into positive rooms. But I do believe that through determination and passion and persistence, that you can definitely make it into those new rooms. You can definitely make it to the next step, and you can definitely be a better, more positive person. And a lot of people don't talk about those negative things that they've been through that held them back. They just allow everyone to believe that everything has been positive, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think if people understand that the people who have made it to the next step, who have made it to better positions in life, they have gone through a lot of negativity. They have gone through a lot of things that have held them back, a lot of situations that have held them back. And if we allow people to understand that more often, then those people will understand that just because you go through something bad doesn't mean you can't pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and continue on. It's not over just because you failed once or twice, or just because negative situations have beat you down and held you back. You can still move forward. You can still go forward. And those are the reasons I have these hard talks. Those are the reasons I have the hard conversations. Those are the reasons I have the turning negatives into positives. Of course, my whole logo, it means the sad face is the negatives, and the happy face is the positives, and the chef's hat, that's how we turn the negatives into positives through food. And that's my holy trinity, and that's what it's all about. That's why I have these hard talks. Today I want to talk self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is something that I feel that we don't talk about enough. It's been talked about more lately, but as a whole, it hasn't been talked about a lot. A lot of times there are situations, relationships, partnerships, business ventures, titles, jobs that people take on, and then after a while, people will feel like they don't necessarily want the job or the title or the situation or the leadership role or the partnership or the relationship, and they don't understand what's going on. They don't want the joint venture anymore. They don't understand what's going on. They're unhappy, and it's because maybe you didn't accept that job, partnership, title, relationship, or business venture for the right reason. Uh, Self sabotage is said to be, if you look up on Google, it's said to be any type of behavior or thought that is not beneficial to accomplishing one's goals, and it doesn't help one realize their own potential. And there's many reasons for self sabotage. Self sabotage is said to be because of one of the biggest reasons for self sabotage is distorted and dysfunctional beliefs that causes one to procrastinate, self medicate, and even self cut. It causes one to harm themselves. And I believe that that's the book definition. That's what Google says. If you look up Google, that's what Google says. But I think it's even deeper than that. I think self sabotage goes back to childhood, and I don't want to slam childhood and place everything on childhood, but I do believe what two orators said, and I've said this in my book, and I've said this several times, Les Brown, that when you say something negative to someone, someone else has to come and say something positive to them 17 times in order for them to believe that the negative is a lie. And then there's also another term, another phrase, another thought, ideology by a Tupac Shakur, who said that when the hate that you give little infants, it f's everyone. Thug life, So the way you treat kids is the way that they eventually treat the world when they grow up. And what I mean by that is, so when there's people in society who bash kids at a young age and tell kids that they're not going to be anything, they're not going to make it out, they're not going to be anything more than what they were, and then those kids hear that, they remember that, and then so that's the way you treat young kids, and that's negativity, and then no one else comes along and gives them any positivity and tells them that they're going to be anything better. They just see a lot of negativity everywhere that they are, and then they hear a lot of negativity. So as they get older, those negative seeds, they grow as the kids grow, and then the kids, they begin to be okay with and even seek out negative environments and negative situations. And then we also tell kids, they need to get a good job, they need to find a job, that's all they need to do is just get a good job. So when we begin to seek out these good jobs, we not only are seeking out negative situations in these good jobs, but we're only seeking out the job because we want the money, the title, we want the prestige, and the way it's going to look. We want to impress others, and we want to impress ourselves. So we're not really seeking these jobs out because we have so much passion in what we want, and when we in the job, we don't care about the passion of the job. It's all about, we want the title, we want the position, we want the look, we want to impress others, we want to impress ourselves, we want to show ourselves that we can get a good job. And then once we do get those good jobs, like I said, we seek out negative situations in those good jobs because we don't understand what a good situation is, because we've seen and heard so much negativity. So we take that good job and we make it negative in somehow or way. And then we also accept that job for the money, for the title, for the prestige, to impress others, to impress ourselves. And it's not for the passion. So once we have the job, we seek out negative situations in the job, or even whatever. It's not, that doesn't even have to be a job. It can be, like I said, a relationship, a joint venture, a position, a situation. So we get the title that we want, we get the situation that we want, we get the joint venture that we want, we get the partnership or the relationship, we get whatever it is that we want, but we get it for the wrong reason. And then we seek out negative situations inside of that title or position or job or a joint venture or whatever it is. And then so we don't really have the intelligence that's needed to hold and keep the job or the title or the position, because we just wanted it for the money or the prestige, and then we didn't think about all of the duties, the responsibilities, the accountability that came along with the title or the position. And then once we start being held accountable for that situation, the partnership, the job, the title, and then we have to be responsible, we have to be held accountable, and then we have to take on ownership. We're like, man, this ain't worth it, I don't want it, because we didn't accept the position, title, job, partnership, the business venture for the right reason. We didn't accept it because we wanted it, and we had all the intelligence for it, and we were ready for it, and we wanted to take it on, and we wanted to make it our baby. Man, we just wanted that money, we wanted to change our lives, we wanted the title, we wanted my bad. So they didn't want the actual title or position or situation or business venture because of what it can bring them. Well, they didn't want it for their passion because they had the knowledge, because they cared so much about it. They just wanted it because they thought it was going to change their lives. They thought it was going to make them look good. They wanted to impress themselves. They wanted to impress other people. So they didn't have a good plan mapped out. So once they say it's easier to get something than it is to actually maintain and keep it. You can work hard and achieve something, and once you get it, it's harder to keep it than it is when you were actually fighting for it. You know what I mean? It was easier to fight for it and get it than it is to actually maintain and keep it. You have to keep the same drive and the level of motivation and the level of discipline that you had when you were obtaining it. That you got to keep that same drive, discipline, and motivation once you achieve it, and once you have it, and once you obtain it. And then a lot of people, because of self-sabotage, we get things because we think it's going to change our life. We want that money, we want that title, we want that position, that situation, that business venture. We want whatever it is, and we think it's going to change our lives. So we pursue it only because of how we feel it's going to benefit us, and not because of the passion, and not because we're ready for it, not because we have all the knowledge we need to keep it. So once we have it, and then we're being held accountable, and then we're being held responsible, and then we have to have ownership of it, we're like, man, it's not worth it. All of the responsibility that comes along with it, it's causing me too much stress. It ain't worth it. All of the accountability and responsibility that comes along with it, it's not worth it. I don't care that much to have it. That I don't care that much to be accountable and responsible for it. That I thought I did. I got the money I wanted. It changed my life the way I thought it did. It gave me the prestige that I wanted. I impressed myself. I impressed other people, but I don't care for this title, this position, this partnership, this business venture. I don't have the passion for it to keep it, that equates to the drive that I had to pursue it, if that makes any sense. So when you pursue something, once you obtain it, you got to have the same drive and passion to keep it that you had, if not more, to keep it than you did to obtain it. And a lot of people realize that it's not worth it. And then that's when self sabotage comes in. And then you're like, man, maybe I should just get fired. I don't even care if I had a position no more. I don't even want this. I don't want this title. I don't want this business venture. I don't want this relationship. I don't want to be with this person. I don't even care. And then you begin to procrastinate. You begin to self-medicate. And then some people even begin to harm themselves. And then some people, that's where suicide comes in at. Because they're in a situation or a partnership or a title, or they're in some type of business venture that they don't want to be in, but they don't know how to get out of. They don't know how to keep. They don't even want to keep it. They don't even want it no more. They don't even want to be in a situation no more. But they fought so hard to get it that they don't want to look like, oh, they're a failure, or they don't want to look like, even though they because of, like I said before, those negative thoughts as being talked to, being talked down on as a child, and then being in so many negative situations and seeing so many negative situations, you seek out negativity. So you get these jobs, these positions, these titles. Not only do you not want it, but you're actually seeking out. You don't want it because you're not ready for it, or because you didn't want the responsibility or the accountability that came along with it. So you begin to seek out these negative situations. Man, I don't even want this job. That's, like I said, that's where the procrastination comes in at. Maybe they just fire me because I'm late. And then that's where the self-medication comes in at. Well, shoot, maybe if they see that I'm high or inebriated, they just let me go, or, it'll help me deal with this situation better if I was inebriated, or if, if I just stop caring, then, it'd be a lot easier for me because I won't have to deal with the responsibility or the accountability. And that's all the self-sabotage. We're seeking out these negative situations. We're seeking out these negative thought, these distorted, dysfunctional thought patterns, because we're so used to seeing negativity. If we get in these situations and we have the intelligence we need, if we have researched these situations, if we have done everything we could to make ourselves knowledgeable about the situation, the partnership, the relationship, the business venture, whatever it is, if we have the knowledge that we need, and we act on that knowledge, and we pursue that knowledge, and then we keep applying that knowledge, and then once we feel that we're at a situation where I don't know what to do, acquire more knowledge, seek out expert counsel. We get so down on ourselves, and then once something bad happens or something negative happens, we be, well, this is the way it was supposed to be. I've always seen negativity. I knew this was going to happen. I knew it wasn't meant for me. I knew this is the way it was going to go. No, that's where knowledge comes in at. That's where you have to apply the knowledge that you've been seeking. That's when you have to go talk to someone else, or go watch a video, or go watch some type of informational video, or something. Do something to give yourself more knowledge, and then that's how you're going to help yourself get out of those situations where you feel like I'm not supposed to be here. Oh, I knew this was going to happen. This is all my life was ever supposed to be. It's always negativity. No, everything new is going to come with problems. It's going to come with stress. It's going to come with a form of ownership that you have to take accountability on. You just need to get more knowledge. You need to align yourself with people who have the knowledge. If you can't find those people, then just find as much, seek as much information as you can through books, videos, or whatever. However you can, get as much knowledge as you can and apply that knowledge. It's only over if you allow it to be over, and it can only be over if you stop gaining knowledge. If you feel like, well, I knew it was always going to be this way. I knew that things were never supposed to happen good for me, and things were never supposed to go well for me. That's not true. Things are never going to be easy just because you decide to do them. And then when you seek something, and then you finally get the situation, you finally get that position on that title, it's going to be harder to keep it than it was to get it, to accomplish it, to obtain it. You have to increase your knowledge. You have to have a plan. And we always think that I'm strong-minded, so me being strong-minded, it's going to help everything. It's not about being strong-minded. It's about having a plan and enacting that plan. Would you rather be strong-minded, lost with no plan, or weak-minded with a plan that's guided to getting you where you want to be and accomplishing your goals? I'd rather be weak-minded with a plan that's guiding me to where I can accomplish my goals, because being strong-minded, lost with no plan, doesn't get you anywhere. You know, we have to have a plan. We have to have a goal. So when we seek out these situations, positions, these joint ventures, these business ventures, these titles, these jobs, when we seek these things out, if we have a plan, once we obtain them, then we can keep those things easier. And then if we don't have, and then if things change while we're on a job, or while we're in a relationship, or in a partnership, or in a business venture, you know, we can acquire more knowledge and then apply that knowledge. So it's about having a plan. Make sure you seek the things that you have passion for, that you love. Okay, so when you obtain them, and then you're held responsible and accountable for them, you have a passion for them. So you want to be held accountable. You're okay with being held accountable. You're okay with the responsibility, and you do everything you can to keep the position and title and to be held responsible, because you have that passion, and then you want to be seen as someone who's passionate and loves something that they do, and not just, I'm doing it just for the job, just for the money, just for the position, because I want to change my life, because I came from so many negative situations. But you know, you didn't do what was necessary to keep it, so you don't have the necessary knowledge, so you self-sabotage yourself. But so if you pursue something you're passionate in, you have knowledge in it, you're okay with acquiring more knowledge after you obtain this position or title or joint venture, then you're more likely to not self-sabotage, because you pursue something you were passionate in, you acquired it, you had knowledge in it, you continued knowledge in it, and you like to be held accountable for it. That's how you dodge self-sabotage. So if you don't want to self-sabotage, don't get a position, situation, joint venture, partnership, or title just because of the money or the prestige or the title, or you want to impress somebody else, or you want to impress yourself. Don't do it for that. Do it because you have passion in it, you care about it, you want to be held responsible, you want to be held accountable. You don't care about the money per se. You know, the money is okay, but you want to do a good job, you want to be a good partner, you want to be a good business venture. You want to be, you know, seen as a person who loves to do what they do, and they're loving to being in a position or title or the situation or the partnership that they're in, because they have passion for it, and not just because they want to change their life. And that will help stop self-sabotage. So pursue things that you love because you have passion in them, because you want to do a good job at them, you want to be held responsible, you want this partnership, you want this relationship, you want this joint venture, you want this business venture, you want this job, you want this title, because you have passion in it, you care about it, and you want to do better at it, and that will help stop self-sabotage. So self-sabotage, and to me, in my opinion, is caused when somebody pursues something that they don't want, because they want to perceive a certain image, they want to be seen a certain way, or they just want to change their life. Those are the wrong reasons. That leads to self-sabotage. That leads to distorted, dysfunctional behaviors and beliefs that will lead to procrastination, that will lead to self-cutting and self-medicating. Self-cutting is harming yourself, which can lead to suicide. So pursue things you love because you love them, because you have passion for them, because you want to get better, because you actually care about the things that you love, not because of how you want to impress people, not because you want to impress yourself, not because you just want to change your life, and not just for the money and for the title. Okay, so chase things that you love because you love them, because you have passion in them, and that will stop self-sabotage. In my opinion, I personally believe that. Love, peace, and fish grease. Thanks for tuning in.